sailors nowadays get all the glory and the praise. What about the policeman bold who stays on duty when the nights are cold? Oh, he ought to get a stripe for that. He ought to get a stripe for that. He stays on duty all night through, makes his wife believe it too. Ah-ho, ah-hum. He ought to get a stripe for that. Girls with a truly rural air seem to be lost in Leicester Square. Hear the kind policeman say, "Excuse me, lady, have you lost your way?" Oh, he ought to get a stripe for that. He ought to get a stripe for that. He says, "You can't stay here like this. Just wait till I'm off duty, miss." Ah-ha, ah-hum. He ought to get a stripe for that. The Grand Hotel today, young lady fainted, so they say, fainted in her bath, oh shame. They blew a whistle and the policeman came. He ought to get a stripe for that. He ought to get a stripe for that. The policeman said, "I'll force the door." "Why didn't you send for me before?" He ought to get a stripe for that. At the races, policeman Burke noticed the shady covert work. When he pinched a watch or two, the cop said, "Now I've got the eye on you." He ought to get a stripe for that. He ought to get a stripe for that. He said, "I've nothing on today. I'll help you pass the time away." Ha-ha, ah-hum. He ought to get a stripe for that. Ah-ho, ah-hum. Some are thin and some are fat, but they help funny folks to make their jokes, so they ought to get a stripe, a great big stripe, yes, bag full of stripes for that. Here's a little ditty with a tune that's mighty sweet, though the words are not so pretty, 'cause all they do's repeat. You sing the verse and chorus about 20 times, and then you find you're out of breath, and so you sing it once again. And that goes on for days and days and days and days and days and days, and that goes on for days. I get up in the morning to do my daily toil, to feed the pigs and chickens, and I plough the mighty soil. I get to bed real early, I'm sound asleep, and then the rooster starts a-crowing, and I have to get up again. And that goes on for days and days and days and days and days and days, and that goes on for days. I thought I'd save some money, save it for a rainy day. Made up my mind that when I could, I'd put some cash away. So in the bank on payday, I put 5 bob or 10. But Monday morning finds me broke and I draw it out again. And that goes on for days and days and days and days and days and days, and that goes on for days. My little sweetheart, we vow that we'll be true, but every night we quarrel like other sweethearts do. I always make my mind up to give that gal a gate, for the next night finds me on the spot and she meets me there at 8. And that goes on for days and days and days and days and days and days, and that goes on for days. You go into the grocery for a dozen eggs or so. They smile at you as they wrap them up, and then back home you go. You start to fix your breakfast, you're feeling fine, and then the first egg that you open is a tiny little hen. And that goes on for days and days and days and days and days and days, and that goes on for days.